hey, listen, you can learn as much as you want, but if you don't do anything about it, you're going to be exactly where you are. Because that's where the life-changing happens. That's the legit stuff. Fear of spending the money, fear of failure, fear of not following up, fear of not being in the courses, fear of not taking the action necessary. The real question is not, can I risk this? The real question is, can I risk not doing this?
Welcome to the Active Pending Sold podcast, the ultimate resource for real estate agents aspiring to elevate their game and multiply their closings. Whether you're a newcomer or a seasoned pro, this is the platform for mastering today's competitive real estate market. Your hosts, Mike Smuts and William Rojas, are here to provide you with unparalleled insights. With years of experience and a passion for excellence, they'll bring you expert interviews and actionable strategies each week. From lead generation to negotiation skills, they've got you covered. So, if you're ready to take your real estate career from active to pending to sold, you won't want to miss a single episode. Now, let's dive in.
Today we have a very special guest, David Adam Kurz. You can't mistaken those three words put together. To be honest, you have to say them all together, otherwise it sounds weird, I promise. But anyway, we're here. We're talking about this amazing book called The Truth About Failure, and it made the top 20 and even held the number one spot on Amazon for a little bit. And also he has an amazing team. They converted around 900 million total in sales in South Florida. He also has two other books called Taking Action, The Blueprint. He runs an amazing organization called Freedom Organization. He's also a part of the Freedom Achievers Academy. He's a coach there, and there's nothing this guy doesn't do, and we're happy to have him today here.
Even man, thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me, man. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm laughing a little bit because you said, that you have to say the three words together. And that is exactly how I introduce myself. So it's crazy. Like somebody will put out an advertisement that I'm coming to speak at their location, and they'll just put David Kurz, and I'll write them and I'll be like, no, it's David Adam Kurz.
It's a great ring, a very great ring to it.
It's a brand. You're not going to find another one.
It's me. It's my website. It's everything. I'm a big believer in brand and brand identity. My website is davidadamkurz.com. If you want to connect with everything I have, it's everythingdavidkurz.com. The DAK is very prominent. But yeah, man, I appreciate that.
Cool.
Yeah, it just sounds weird if you say David Kurz. I've just heard it David Allen Kurz the whole time, and there's a ring to it now. It's a ring to it. I respect it. I can't go by my middle name.
What's your middle name? Now we got to know.
Christopher. So it's
man, come
Mike
on, dude.
Christopher Smuts. Mike Smuts is better.
Yeah,
I don't even know what Will's middle name is. What's your middle
Anthony. Name? Now everybody knows all of our middle names.
You look like a Tony. You look more like a Tony.
Well, David Adam Kurz. But anyways,
yeah, let's go.
The book. Tell us about it. Tell us about you. We want to know what's going on with you. I know you run a coaching program. I know you're inspiring people out there. So tell us a little bit about you and where this all started.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started selling real estate about 18 years ago in South Florida, in specifically the Miami area. And about 10 years ago, I started coaching. And this is everything post spending 9 years in the United States Marine Corps. So I was born and raised in the Bronx, son to a Puerto Rican and a Jew.
Nice.
So that's where the Kurz comes from. And I left the Bronx in my high school years. My mother and my father got divorced, moved to South Florida. I hated South Florida at the time. I don't know how old you guys are, but I moved to South Florida in the very early 90s. And so I was already a hip hop head. Like New York had already adapted hip hop as a way of life.
Yeah.
And South Florida had not. It was it was Z Cavaricci's. I don't even know if you know what the hell that is.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Like Google those and you will see what people are wearing. You would understand why I hated South Florida at the time.
You went from until Biggie and everything to down to South Florida.
Oh man, it was crazy. And then shortly after we got Vanilla Ice and all that stuff, and that kind of came to light. But
is he from South Florida?
He is. Vanilla Ice is from Miami.
So moving to South Florida in your young age, what got you into real estate and more aptly drove you to get into coaching and then writing your book?
Yeah, finishing the story on how I really didn't like South Florida, I ended up leaving to the United States Marine Corps, and I spent 9 years in it. And at the time I was with an ex, and her family was in Florida, and obviously my mother was in Florida. And so when I decided to get out of the Marine Corps, I was actually stationed in California at the time. and we decided to come back to South Florida. And so I got a few jobs and stuff like that, but my cousin had encouraged me to get into real estate. She said it was the right thing to do for someone with my personality. So I did it. And fortunately, I was able to do it pretty big. And we had a really good time doing it. About 10 years ago, I got asked by the company that I was at if I would become a coach in the office. And so they gave me this huge manual on how to be a coach, and I took some classes. And then, like, after like my first like coaching session, if you will, or training session in the office, I just fell in love, dude. And so I've been doing it for 10 years now. But now we really taking it to the next level. Now I'm coaching other brokerages. Now I'm coaching people around the country. Now we have what's called the Freedom Achiever Academy, which is a full online academy. I'm on my third book now. So it's, we've really pushed the evolution. I'm a consultant for other companies. I'm the president of New World Title Texas. I still run my team here in South Florida. And then, of course, the Freedom Organization, which is my coaching consulting company.
That's awesome. That's a lot.
Yeah, I'm processing it all. You really did a lot in a short amount of time.
Yeah, it feels like forever and a day, and it still feels like I have so much more to do. I always say if you're a high level achiever, you're never satisfied. And it's people look at high level achievers and they go, they're achieving so much, but they don't really pay attention to the struggles, the rise, and everything in between. And when a high achiever meets a goal, there's no real party. It's kind of, okay, if I was able to do this, what else can I do?
Next goal.
What's stage 22? And I say 22 because stage 2 would assume that we just started, right? No, I'm almost 20 years in. That's stage 22 at this point.
Yeah. Getting back into this book, it's funny that you say that. So all these achievements people see, but they don't see what it takes to get there. You know what I mean? And I'm sure there was a lot of hardship in between that time frame. And that's why, like, when I saw this book and you came out with it, very cool cover, by the way, and pencil.
Thank you.
What I was saying was, I love this. It's almost like a mindset for the entrepreneur, and like your story and seen from your eyes and what it took to get you there. I love the quotes that are in the book. It's just like you're trying to drive a point across, and I didn't even realize it until the end. There's even a little summary at the end. That way you can re-summarize what you learned. And so it goes full circle with your coaching, because that's the most important thing when people are learning, is to go over exactly what they learned from the beginning. So I think that's pretty cool. Your other books, you have 2 other books. Are they pretty similar to this one, or?
No, actually, my first book, I got a lot of help with it, and it's a Q&A. So it was one of these, there's a company called 90-Minute Read or something like that. I can't remember what it was. And basically what they do is they interview you and they create like a 90-minute book. And the idea is that this book is like a business card. It's easy to read, takes 90 minutes, so forth, so on, right? And so I did that with the owner of New World Title, believe it or not. We've been in business together for a long time. Wow. And we did that one together, and we categorized a bunch of questions. And then we had the lady interview us, and then we answered those questions. And so it's not written in book form. It's a book that's written in Q&A. And so it's almost like you're reading a really good interview and you're getting the answers you need. The problem was that we wrote this book, and it was called The Blueprint. And the idea was that the questions would guide people into new positions by giving them the roadmap. And I started asking people, hey, what'd you think about the book? Oh, it was great. Did you get anything out of it? Yes, I did. So what'd you do? What from the book did you go do? And people stared at me like I just had turned into a ghost. And so I sat down with my wife and I was like, where we messed up in this book? She said, where? And we said, we never told them how. We told them what to do. Never told them how.
I'm sorry. It really comes to mind. It's education's entertainment unless you take action on it. And I love that you recognize that. And I assume you're about to tell us where you went.
Yeah. So basically I took that and I created a book called Take Action. And so the entire premise of Take Action is, hey, listen, you can learn as much as you want. You can become a career learner, right? But if you don't do anything about it, you're going to be exactly where you are. And so I dubbed the phrase called the Tony Robbins effect, right? So I don't know if you guys have ever been to the 3-day Walk on Fire Tony Robbins event, right? So many people have. So many people have also gone a second time, a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time. And I'm like, yo, how many times do you need to walk on fire before you buy the real coaching? And so I call it the Tony Robbins effect because people, they go through this 3-day, what they consider to be a transformation. It's not really a transformation. Let's be real. It's a momentary transformation. But if you buy the $10,000 coaching program, there's a really good chance that you'll have a legit transformation in your life or business. And so this 3 days is introductory to what all of that could look like if you sign up for a year. And so people walk on fire, they feel pumped, they go back to the parking lot, they get back in their cars, and on the way there, they did some sort of brain dump, and they go right back to regular life because they don't have a method. They don't have a path. So I call it the Tony Robbins effect, right? And so if you take action, right? So like when Tony Robbins gets on the stage and says, hey, listen to me, man, we got this business clinic, or we got this life clinic, or we got this marriage clinic, or whatever it is he's talking about, and it's a year long, and typically it's $50,000, but because you're here with me, it's 10 grand. Get the up and go to the back if it's something that works for you and sign up for the daggone program, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where the life-changing happens. That's the legit stuff. That's where people say, oh my God, Tony Robbins changed my life. From
Yeah. What do you think holds people back from taking action in general? Fear, you think?
Yeah, fear of spending the money, fear of failure, fear of not following up, fear of not being in the courses, fear of not taking the action necessary. It's fear. It's fear. It's like, yeah, it definitely a scarcity mindset. So much fear sets in when somebody's asked to spend 10 grand and or any money for that matter. And it's, you go buy a car, and if you're on a budget and you're a regular employee and you make X amount of dollars, and you're looking at, let's say, I don't know, a Chevy or a Ford, right? Let's just say F-150 Ford. You're checking it out. The guy's like, hey man, look, listen, this is the best deal I could get you, $900 a month, right? And all of a sudden, this person feels like this overweight. Oh my God, it's not just 900 a month. It's 900 a month plus the gas that an F-150 takes, plus the insurance that it's going to cost me, right? This and that and that and this. And to have the F-150, the fear just talks them right out of it. But now, if this F-150 was the difference between you earning an income and not earning an income, you might take the risk.
I get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so people don't know because there's no proof in the pudding. You could drive down the street right now, and in 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to find an F-150 with stuff in the back. It works. There's proof in the pudding. You've seen it. You've seen them haul trailers. You've seen them haul shit in the back. So when I'm sitting at like a Tony Robbins thing, I don't have the proof in front of me. He could tell me that so-and-so was massively successful. He could tell me that stuff, but I don't have the proof in front of me. So what happens? Fear starts to set in. And it's such a tremendous amount of fear that you will talk your way out of it. And you'll go, no, I'm gonna get what I could get from my $92 ticket to this event. And I'll go apply that. And when I make some money with that, then I'll come back and get this. So you're never coming back. You're never coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're on to the next shiny object at that point.
And so the ability to risk is the difference between the employee and the entrepreneur, in my opinion, right? It's your tolerance for risk. And there are so many other things, right? I think Donald Trump said, if you can't take heat, like negativity and people coming at you, don't even try to become an entrepreneur. Elon Musk was asked, what would you tell young entrepreneurs trying to come up? And he looked at the freaking interviewer and he said, tell them not to do it. Just don't do it. This is not a life that anybody wants or desires. But these are guys that are like risking everything, right? They're like, one's probably about to go to jail just because he wanted to be president. And the other one risked all his money on SpaceX. And now he's got billions and billions of contracts. You know what I mean? So it's the craziness, the overwhelming feeling. And we could get deeper into the psychology of that. Like, where does that come from? Like I tell my mom all the time, I go, I'm Puerto Rican, so Latinos, we're famous for telling our kids no. I laugh at my mom. I go, when I was younger, I don't know if there are now or there aren't. But I go to my mom, I go, why do you think there's no Puerto Rican like championship stunt skiing person? And I go, because every time we walked on the snow, our parents were like, no, watch out. You're going to get hurt. You're going to slip. You're going to fall. It could be kids, right? You climb the monkey bars. Oh my God, get down from there. You're going to hurt yourself. You're climbing the counter because you want the peanut butter. Oh my God, get down from there. You're going to hurt yourself. Everything's no, and you're going to hurt yourself. And believe it or not, this kind of stays ingrained in your head for year after year, and you become an adult and something scary happens. And you go, no, I can't do that. I'm going to hurt myself.
You mean, yeah. So when you're a child, I've read this before in a book. I think it was Asking Questions the Sandler Way. is you're in a childlike state. You're more prone to take more risks. You have less fear because you don't know what fear is. And then once the fear is instilled, then all of a sudden now you're like, you take a step back, you rethink things, you hold yourself back. So I get exactly what you're saying. That's crazy to go back.
And then you spend the rest of your life breaking those fears.
Right. Wow, that's wild to think of it that way, because we don't think of it that way. Because when we were younger, I see it in my daughter all the time. I look at her, I'm like, what an imagination. You know what I mean? She has. Imagine if I had the same imagination as her. And the only reason why she has that is because she hasn't seen anything yet. Nothing's instilled in her quite yet for her to know that something can happen that I don't want to happen. And maybe that's what instills fear in us. I see what you mean by that. That's very interesting.
Through experience, it gets broken down, and you're taught not to imagine. Where as kids, we're like, the what if we could do this, I can do whatever I want. And then as adults, we step into a world that kind of, for lack of a better term, beats us down to the point where we're like, yeah, it kills your soul, your imagination. So you're like, okay, I'm going to take this paycheck, and I'll never be that thing that I wanted to do. I'll never be that famous musician. I get it. Do you see a lot of this? I know you talk about it very passionately. Do you see a lot of this with your coaching program, or what taught you what?
I do, tremendously. And it's incredible. Obviously, I can't say names. I've got a client right now who basically broke down for me he was just speaking to me. We had finished our coaching session. I had a few more minutes, and he said, Dave, listen, where he is in life, his content with it, how happy he is, so forth and so on. And I let him talk. And I said to him, man, you pay a coach to tell you the truth. And I said, what you sounded to me right now was somebody who has decided to be complacent, and I can't coach you if you're complacent.
Ooh.
And he said to me, whoa, what do you mean? And I said, I want to coach you to be better. So if you're already complacent, then maybe this should be our last month. And he said to me, okay, hold on a second. You got to break this down for me. And I said, no, you just told me you're good where you're at. What the fuck am I here for? And so I said to him, I said, look, I'm going to give you an exercise. I go, he's very happily married, super cool family. I said, hey, listen, I want you to do something tonight. I want you to buy your wife a bottle of wine, some flowers, and say, yo, dude, I need an hour or two of your time. I said, the wine and the flowers are to break down the shield, right? Because your wife is a protector. She's going to do what she can to protect you and the family. And so I said, you got to break down her shield. And now you got to sit down and look at her and say, if we had no restraints, if we had no issues, if we had no money issues, if we had, excuse me, all the liberty in the world, what would you want? It's a really big question. He couldn't wait to do the exercise. He did it that night. Very next day, he texted me back. He said, Coach, he said, I got to tell you something, man. My vision for where I was not the vision of my wife. I was happy she was not. And he said, we literally, over a couple hours, came up with a whole new idea of where we would like to be and what achievements we have. And I wrote him back. I go, cool, we can keep working together.
That's crazy. I can't even.
I need to do this exercise. I'm marking down. I'm doing it tomorrow night.
I think that we as men, it's so busy in everything that we're doing. And because we're men, we tend to be less emotional and less thought process into the emotion side. And because of that, we forget about everyone else's needs in the house. I got a big family of 7 people in my house. And so we forget about everybody. So every once in a while, you just got to shut the fuck up and ask questions and listen. And I'll tell you something. How old is your daughter? You say you had a daughter.
Yeah, she's about to turn 3.
Yeah, dude, I would challenge you, if you ever have questions about what you should do next, is ask her. You would be completely surprised with the answers that you would receive. Because look, we just talked about it right now. Mike just said it. Mike said, when we're kids, we have this fearless mentality. We're willing, like, I remember it snowed so much one time in New York that we were at my cousin's house and we were jumping from the 2nd floor window into the snow because we could. I wouldn't do that now.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? But we had no fear. We didn't think about what if there's a rake that was left out, a shovel. what if I fall on a spike or a bottle or something? You know what I mean? We didn't think about any of that. But those are the thoughts that come to your mind now. So I would say to you, next time you have a question about something you want to do next, ask her in simple terms and see what she tells you. You'd be completely surprised.
I feel like
What
Will's
she answers
daughter
the
is
question.
much smarter than he is. She's got a
Where
lot
you
more
think she got
wisdom.
it
I'm
from? No,
kidding.
I'm just kidding.
I love everything about it and the mindset and just your ability to break down that wall. I'm a little speechless right now because it resonates in my brain. Something that I've been going through, and I've been thinking. We assume they want the same thing we want. We assume we're like doing it for them, when in reality it's not. And I learned that lesson multiple times, and it never seems to stick. So you really what you said really resonated with me there. So
as
I
a
appreciate
as a
that.
family man, it's your job to feel that way. Like as a family man, it's your job to say, "Yo, dude, I need to keep a roof over our heads. I need to put gas in the cars, food in the refrigerator, heat and AC and fire." And it's since the beginning of time, it's been our job to spark fires and hunt meat and cook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what we do. In modern times, it's the same thing. It's just different. Instead of a spear, it's a credit card at the supermarket, right? It's the same thing. We get so engulfed in that we forget there's
Yeah.
somebody else in the equation. And it was incredible. Like the things that she told him, he commented and told me, I won't say it, but he commented and told me a bunch of stuff that she suggested. And I was like, this is amazing. Your eyes are open right now. He goes, you have no idea.
Guys,
Did he achieve those things, or was this like
This is fairly recent, so we're working. It's a work in progress.
right.
he'll get
But
there?
I don't see how he doesn't. He's a freaking phenomenal dude. He gave himself a ceiling.
Most people do.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Society always talks about how somebody else creates a ceiling over them, but the truth is we're the only ones creating it.
What's funny, you being a coach and being an author and stuff, like I have to ask because somebody out there is listening, and we hear it a lot in real estate, but I'm sure it happens in every single field out there. I hear it all the time. People will be like, "How do you like coaching with X?" Because I've been with multiple real estate coaches. How do you like coaching with X? I've thought about it, but I can't risk the money. Blah blah blah. What would you say to the person that's out there that wants more but is afraid to go get it and risk it? What would you say to that person to help push them to make a risk, whether it's coaching or it's something completely different, like quitting their full-time job to go into business per se?
It's difficult. The only thing that I would tell people is the real question is not, can I risk this? The real question is, can I risk not doing this? That's the real question, right? Because, look, I didn't have a coach in my career and I didn't have a real strong mentor. And I mentioned that in the book too. If I did, I probably would have hit a lot. I probably would have had to run through a lot less brick walls,
Mhm.
right? I probably would have been far more successful now than I am today. Things would have been different. That wasn't the case for me though. I had to run through all brick wall. Had I known better though, I would have done things very differently. And I would have hired coaches much sooner. And there's plenty of people out there that don't believe in coaches. And to their respect, so be it. Go do your thing, man. Nobody's forcing you to have a coach. But
Yeah.
when you have the right coach, they will elevate you. And guess what? You'll also outgrow that coach at some point. And you might go for somebody else. And so that happens too. I think many coaches have limitations or they have levels. There's levels to this, right? Like one coach might be really great when you're brand new in the industry and he's probably pretty inexpensive because that's what he focuses on. The next coach, though, when you have some experience and you're building a team, they're not going to be that cheap. And a lot of times you get what you pay for.
That's true. That's not a lie. That's interesting. What does the coaching entail for you mostly? I know it's real estate agents in general, but is it building business, follow-ups, stuff like that? Or is it more like mindset or a combination of both? What does it look like?
It's a combination of both. I do work with a lot of real estate agents, and I actually work with some folks that are not real estate agents,
Oh, wow.
but they are business owners. And so there's a quote in the second book that I wrote. It doesn't matter if you're selling lollipops, bicycles, or real estate, it's all the same shit. And so it's like really think about it. If I sell bicycles and I have a bicycle shop, or I sell real estate and I sell homes, I still need a lead generating system. I still need leads. I still need to know how to convert leads. I still need to know how to turn a conversion of a lead into an actual client. And then I need to learn how to take those past clients to remarket to them and use them for a referral basis. It's all the same thing,
That's true.
right? And then there's still ways to track your sales and return on investment and return on time and CRMs and everything else. One might have a point of sale system, POS, right, where you're charging people by credit card. The other one has a title company, right? It's just they're minor differences, but it really is the same thing. And so what I like to do with business owners that I work with is really focus on the first month, typically the first month to 6 weeks. We're working on mindset, time, and replacement. And so, what I mean by this is we get the mind right, then we talk about where we're spending our time, and then we replace that with MMAs, money making activities. And so, we start really focusing on that in the first 6 weeks because if we can't get that right, everything else is irrelevant. What type of CRM to use is relevant if you're not going to use it, right? So we get all of that really squared away, really honed in. I've got some real great exercises that I do with my clients that help them realize where they're wasting time and helps them realize where they need to put more effort into. They really start to understand their return investment and return on time. So I study two things: ROI, which is important, right? We want to know if we're putting money into something, how much we're getting back from that investment. But I also spend a lot of time on ROT. ROT is return on time. If I put this much effort into something, what do I get back? And so, like right now, you guys are doing this great podcast. I'm a guest. There's going to be 150,000 more guests. You will never know the real outcome of this podcast.
That's true.
So if I ask you, what's the ROI on your podcast, it'd be extremely difficult to say. But if I asked you, what's your ROT, what's your return on time, you would give me stories on how sent you business because they saw your podcast, or so-and-so did business with you or referred you business because they were on your podcast, or you'd be able to give me those stories. And you'd be able to say, if it wasn't for the podcast, I wouldn't have those relationships. And therefore, I would not have created any of those businesses.
Yeah. It seems like you break it down to you go, okay, based off of what you're doing, here's your 80% that doesn't matter. Let's cut that out. Let's focus on your 20%, the Pareto principle. It sounds like that's the basis of everything. And then you build from.
And we build from there. And then we get into the nitty gritty of their business. Anytime I coach somebody one-on-one, it's very unique to them. I try to really understand their business. I'm a big note taker. So next call, I'm already looking at my CRM and refreshing my memory of where we were. And so that customization of coaching is important to me. A lot of coaches are like black and white because they learned from whatever system and this is black and white and it works, and probably does for a lot of people, but it's not going to be for everybody. And I believe that I could coach probably anybody in the world because I'm going to customize it to what they're doing.
Right. We're in the business of lead generation. I'm curious, do you focus on a combination of outbound and inbound, or is it mostly inbound, or is it everything? Is that
inbound? I focus a lot on the way that we coach lead generation is through attraction. And so I'm all about spending the least amount of money for the most amount of business. And I also believe that most real estate agents, as a matter of fact, probably more than 90% of real estate agents, their biggest hiccup is when they close the transaction. It's not even the lead generation. It's not even the process of the transaction. It's none of that. It's when they close the transaction, that's where their biggest problem is. That's where their biggest hiccup is. They don't know how to appropriately close out a deal, create a friend, build a relationship, do things that create more relationships to create a referral-based business. And then, so we say we're in the business of lead generation. We really aren't. We're in the business of selling homes. Okay, but we're in the business. Are we really in the business of selling homes? Now that you think about it, we're not. We're in the business of developing relationships. And so the byproduct of my relationships is that I have a skill to sell you a home. Right. And so if people could really think about that, if they could just take their entire business and turn it into relationships, it'd be a game changer. Every conversation that you have with a new lead would be completely different. Right. Every conversation that you have with an old client that you closed last year would be completely different. Then that client refers you their cousin. Completely different conversation if your entire goal of the conversation was to build a relationship.
interesting? So do you think it's with agents in most cases, it's like on to the next deal, and that's maybe why they don't close.
Always. I call it the number two, right? So if I go to McDonald's and I order number two, brainlessly, without thought process, they're going to turn around and give me 2 cheeseburgers, medium fries, and a Coke. There's no other thought process to it. The number two has been the number two for as long as any of us can remember, right? And so I call it the number two. Is that employee ever going to know my name? No. Are they going to call me later to see how I enjoyed my hamburgers? No. Do they care if the Coke was flat or not? No. And so that's how a lot of real estate agents treat their clients, like a transaction, like a number two, right? They close them. Great job. Congratulations. We're popping bottles at the closing table. And then it's like, okay, on to the next one.
Yeah.
My method is crazier, though. I don't even go to closings. Like all my clients, they're forbidden from going to closings.
Really?
Yeah, we have a completely different method. First of all, what the hell are we doing at closings but wasting 2 hours of our lives? What do we do there? We don't push paperwork. We don't sign anything. We don't witness anything. We don't, like, unless you're desperately waiting for a paycheck, but that gets wired to you anyway.
The picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The picture. Oh my God, the picture. Train your title company to take a picture of them with their cell phone and text it to you. That's what you do. And then when you get the picture, you post it on social media. So happy for Sam and Sally. You know, just help them into their home. I don't need to be at the closing for them to feel that euphoria. They're purchasing a home.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, in many states, it's not even legal for you to be in the room. So
Really?
unless you're appropriately invited in for a reason. And a lot of us as real estate agents, we just make ourselves at home and then watch people sign paperwork for 2 hours. The worst part is that probably 90% of the time that you're sitting there, you're on your phone doing something else anyway, whether it be answering emails or scrolling through Instagram. So you don't even look interested in being there.
Mhm.
Right? Until somebody's got to give a gift or pop a bottle or eat a piece of cake, right?
Yeah.
And
Your mind's already on the next one. You're already thinking about generating lead. Yeah.
During that time frame, you should be doing what you did to get those people to the closing table. So you can have more of those closings. And then I have a method on how to follow up with them. We have a way where we coach our clients to connect with them post-closing, 10 days post-closing, 15 days post-closing, 25 and day 30. And we've got a very strict method in the way that we do it. We've got a moving day gift that we give. Rather than coming to the closing table and sitting there for 2 hours wasting my day, I'm going to call them later on and congratulate them on the closing. Right, so I'll call them. I'll say, hey, Jennifer just called me from New World Title. She told me that you guys closed on your home. Everything's good to go. How are you? How's everything? Was it great? Are you excited? Yes, we're so excited, David. Thank you so much. Okay, great. When are you moving? On Saturday, the truck's coming. All right, cool. What time's the truck coming? About 8 a.m. So you should be at the new house by 1 p.m., right? Yeah. All right, cool. I'm bringing you pizza.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Dude,
Wow.
have you ever moved?
Oh, it sucks. I started
Dude,
like 3 months ago.
Horrible. It's horrible. Like, moving is above dentistry in pleasure. It's the worst, like packing and unpacking, and it's exhausting. You're sweating, you're hot, you're tired, you're yelling at the movers, you're hungry. What? Wait a minute. Here comes Dave walking through the door. The kids are running around. They're going crazy. For at least 30 minutes, the kids are going to be quiet. They're going to be sitting down. They're going to be drinking water, Sprite, whatever you allow your kids to drink, with a cheese pizza from Papa John's right in front of them. And you're going to eat, and we're going to get 2 pies, and we're going to give it to the movers. Right? And we're going to tell the movers, hey, I know you guys are hungry here. You guys, so 2 pies for the family, 2 pies for the movers. Dude, game changer. Completely different.
Because you're looking to build a relationship with the movers too.
Absolutely.
That's so smart.
Absolutely. Plus, the movers are significantly happier than they were 5 minutes before you got there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's not an easy job.
I wouldn't want to do that for a living. No. So if somebody was interested, I know you said you do things differently and you have these systems. If somebody's interested in checking that out and likes what they hear, do they go to your website? What's the best way?
Yeah, they could go to my website. Obviously, right now, I would love people to pick up my book. But if you go to everythingdavidkurz.com, I tried to do David Adam Kurz, it wasn't available. But everything David, I know, what a horror, it's horrible. As a matter of fact, let me double check it. Hold on.
He's checking it live.
I know y'all laughing at me right now.
Let's make a petition to get this man that domain.
But anyways, the book is an entry point to actually knowing how you are as a person too. So that's not a bad thing either. You could start here
It is.
and then move on
Yep.
to the coaching.
So if you go to everythingdavidkurz.com, you can access everything there. My calendar to book a consultation with me. You can buy the book from there. First thing it says is order the truth about failure. That's going to lead you to the landing page for the truth about failure. There's a deal on there too. I created a whole separate online training program for the truth about failure for the book specifically. I did it chapter by chapter. That program is $495. But if you buy 10 books and you send us proof that you bought 10 books, you get the training for free and you get to bless 9 people with it. So we did that up. And so that should be pretty great for a lot of people. We've had so many people pick up the 10 books and get access to the free training. So it's been pretty great.
That's awesome.
It's huge, by the way. So yesterday I get a text message from a friend. She's at a conference in Orlando and I guess they were doing giveaway. Like if you ask a question, you got a giveaway or something. And the giveaway was my book
Masterclass,
at this
right?
conference.
Wow.
Masterclass, I think it was.
At the Orlando
Real Producers.
Real Producers event. Yeah.
I saw that.
And that was really cool because I was like, yo, they give me my book at conferences, which is pretty awesome. But she texted me, she's like, look what I just won, which is incredible. It's amazing. And she already started reading the book, loves it. The book's definitely been, I feel like a lot of my heart went into this book. And I started writing that book in 2020, just so you could get an idea of the time frame that it took to put it together and really make sure that the message was right. And I could see already people like messaging me and saying, wow, Dave, like pretty incredible.
Yeah. Cool. That's why that book launch was powerful enough to have Will. He came to me all excited, actually. He goes, have you heard about this book Failure? We need to have him on the podcast. I went, okay.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And I was
that's awesome. Appreciate that.
David Adam Kurz. I'm like, sure, I know who that is. I had to Google it.
It sounds cool.
But like, I was like, yeah, if you're excited about it, let's have him.
That's right, man. See, I love having this conversation. You guys are incredible interviewers. So I appreciate that. I know I talk a lot. I talk better when people can really dig in with them. So I appreciate you guys very much.
Yeah, of course.
I could listen to you talk for hours. You could definitely come on anytime you want.
I appreciate that, man. Really do.
Book or product launch. Come on. Don't even have to.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be my last book for a little bit, man. We've already got plans for 2024. We're doing so the name of my company is a Freedom Organization. And last year we started doing Freedom Day, which is a 1-day conference for us. And so we're going to do it again this year. Last year we did it in Orlando. This year we're going to bring it to South Florida. So probably do it in like Broward County, Fort Lauderdale area somewhere. So we're going to do Freedom Day. I don't have a list of speakers or anything yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be amazing. And then next November we have the New You Recon, which we just did last week with Tom Ferry, which is pretty impressive. It's a really fun day. And so that one's going to be in Texas, and then some masterminds and stuff in between. Doing the Coach Day.
Yeah. Nice. Is that what's next? The evolution for David Adam Kurz? Sorry, I have to say all three.
Yeah. So I've been hosting conferences since 2018, my own conferences, and we've never ever had less than 400 people in attendance, which is insane. So that is the evolution. It's going to continue to grow from there. We've had some master classes, we've had some masterminds. To me, there's a difference, and they've all been really great and successful. I think in May 9th, we're having Freedom Day here in South Florida. And I think before that, it'll probably be like maybe April. I might do a 3-day mastermind for up to 50 people. I'm not 100% sure. No, like I said, everything davidkurz.com, it'll be on there for sure.
Cool.
I love it. I feel the energy. I could listen to you talk for hours, but we're approaching the 45-minute mark, so we do have to wrap it up.
I appreciate the invite, guys. I really do, man.
No, do you have any, man? Thanks for coming on.
We appreciate you greatly. Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you want to shout out real quick? Anything you want?
Yeah, look, our mission at our company is to impact the lives and businesses positively for over 1 million people. So pick up the book, and I pray that it inspires you. If you can't afford the book and you can't afford the $20, go to my YouTube, watch some of the stuff on there, follow me on Instagram, like whatever it takes, man. And I talk about a lot of other people. Follow those people, the Tony Robbins and the Tom Ferrys and the Bedros Koulians and Andy Fitts and all these guys. Like follow them and
Pending Soul
really,
podcast.
yeah, yes, and really internalize the information you're getting and be the best you can possibly be.
Awesome.
Wow. And go buy the book. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. EverythingDavidKurz.com. And thank you so much for coming on, man.
Hey, by the way, if you're listening to Active Pending Soul podcast, click that subscribe button.
Thank you.
I like this guy. I knew I liked this guy for a reason.